everyone, Coach Tiffany here. Let's see, I'm a little early today. I have been trying to start this around 1 o'clock, but when I feel inspired, I want to hop on. And it's so funny, my hair always distracts me on my computer for some reason. Anyway, I've been told recently that it's harder to hear me when I have these headphones in, but the sound quality is better. So I'm going to go ahead and try to use it today. Please let me know if for some reason you're not really able to hear me very well. So if you're hopping on live today, please say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. And of course, I always want to hear feedback, comments, any of that. So this post or this video was inspired by a conversation that I had with a friend about whether moderation is a good goal to have and how to approach it. So I think moderation is a good goal. It's challenging, however, to live it out in real life. And I think that the main reason it's challenging is because we get this message that we should eat in moderation, right? And then we end up like overeating sometimes or eating in a way that feels out of control. And then we have guilt around it and shame. And we feel like I can't be trusted, right? So it kind of goes back to the diet mentality or the diet culture that we are surrounded with. And moderation is actually something that is reasonable to strive toward if we can do it with a mindset of, is this worth it, right? So the reason that we don't want to eat a whole box of cookies, sometimes it's because we're worried about our weight, but most of the time it's because it doesn't feel good to eat a whole box of cookies, right? Like it feels kind of out of control, probably feel sick to our stomach, like just feel gross after eating a whole box of cookies. For some people, it's a whole pint of ice cream or a whole gallon, I suppose. For some people, it is, the whole bag of potato chips, right? So whatever it is, those foods that you struggle to eat in moderation, it's really a matter of whether it's worth it versus like eating a whole bag of potato chips that weren't very good to begin with and then feeling really gross isn't worth it, right? Versus like if you go to a wedding and they have a wedding cake made at your favorite bakery and you're having a lovely evening and you've got room in your stomach for it and you are in a celebratory mood and you're enjoying the night and you want to have a piece of cake and you taste it and it's just as delicious as you imagined or maybe even more so. So you have another bite, right? And then another bite and it's totally worth it. And you eat until you're satisfied. So that's much more what moderation looks like, and I think that's what people are striving toward. Unfortunately, there's all of these shoulds and all of these messages we receive around moderation. So you should only eat XYZ, right? Like one cookie, or you should only eat dessert after dinner, or you should never eat a chocolate bar in the middle of the day, or three chocolate bars, whatever it is, right? So those are a lot of shoulds. And they really, all they do is cause us to feel like we need to control our food and feel like a failure when we're not able to control it. And there are so many reasons why we may not be able to control that impulse. So if you get over hungry, your urge to eat becomes more and more like louder and louder, right? Or that those signals you get are louder and louder or more intense. Oh, somebody hopped on. Hi. So I'm just talking about whether moderation is a good thing to strive toward. And I think it can be if you can remove all of the judgment and all of the shoulds around it. Because shoulds really just contribute to your um, your own, guilt and shame, right? It's an expectation, an external expectation. And then sometimes we take those expectations and internalize them, which cause us to even feel worse about ourselves or beat ourselves up even more. So yeah, so if you're going to have shoulds, or if you're going to have moderation be a goal, you have to remove the shoulds. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like if you find yourself eating a king size Snickers bar because you went to the grocery store hungry and it's dinner time and maybe you just have had a long day and you haven't eaten very much, you may have shoulds around, that doesn't feel very moderate, right? Like that feels a little out of control. But if you can zoom out and just look at, without judgment, the circumstances, like, oh, yeah, I was hungry and I can work on moderation by feeding myself well in the future so that I don't get to that point of needing the king size Snicker bars for dinner or whatever it is. So that is where if we are strategizing and attempting to look at circumstances in our life rather without judgment rather than have a should around eating, then we can strive toward moderation. Another way to work toward moderation is to only have additive goals and not distractive goals or retractive goals. I'm not saying it right. Anyway, basically restrictive, right, eating, right? So let go of restrictive eating and instead move toward moderation by making sure you're getting in plenty of the good stuff. So add in, 3 cups of vegetables a day, or if you're not eating any vegetables, maybe strive for 1 serving a day first. But some people, strive all the way up to like vegetables a day. So the more of that you're getting in, the less of the processed stuff you'll be eating, right? Just naturally. So that's a way to move toward moderation without any shoulds or expectations. Yeah, so basically moderation's fine if you can remove judgment around it. If you can't, I would say let go of that idea. Instead, just focus on feeding yourself and walking through the world and interacting with food in a way that is non-judgmental and just curious. Is this worth it, right? Was that worth it? So not necessarily, if you can't remember to do it in the moment, which ideally we would pause before eating and decide, do I really want this? Is it really worth it? But if not, then afterwards, like, was that worth it? Like, I feel kind of gross now. Or actually, that was delicious and it was totally worth it. So truly enjoying our food is another way that we can move towards moderation, because a lot of times the foods that we don't feel like we're eating in moderation are things like bagels or like your kids' leftover macaroni and cheese, or like I said, that bag of chips, just because it's what's there and it's what's accessible and easy. So we can look at those things from a lens of curiosity, like, oh, why am I eating the whole bag of potato chips? Well, I didn't eat all day and there's nothing else really easily available. Or maybe I wanted some salty crunchy, or maybe the stuff in the fridge didn't sound very appetizing, right? So then we can focus on how can I get foods in the fridge that are appetizing and that are going to be satisfying and that I'm excited to eat and I don't mind waiting a little longer to eat, right? Or we can look at, well, gee, I wasn't able to feed myself all day because I had scheduled myself back-to-back meetings. So what can I do in the future to change my schedule so that I'm not overscheduling myself, so that I ensure that I have time to eat, right? So yeah, so I would say if you can let go of judgment, that's the key. Moderation is also really relative. So what moderation looks like to you is what it looks like to me. So I would say get a little more specific in your goals, let go of judgment, and moderation is completely possible. So that's something I'd love to support you all in, is getting to a place of that, of moderation, but once again, without judgment, and whether or not you have any shoulds attached to it really makes a big difference into whether or not you're going to be able to be successful and whether or not it's going to feel loving and nourishing versus shaming. All right, guys, I hope that was inspiring. I feel like I'm a little glitchy now, so hopefully this is still coming through okay. I don't know who hopped on live and I don't see them anymore. But if you're on here, please say hello. Let us know where you're watching from, and yeah, just your ideas about moderation. What are some ways you bring in moderation into your relationship with food without judgment and without shame? And what are some of the ways you determine if some food is worth it or not? Is there a food that's always worth it for you? Does it depend on your mood? Does it depend on how well it's cooked or prepared, or where you're at, the ambiance? So anyway, let me know what your thoughts are. I hope you have a wonderful week.